Thank you for joining us today for the Virtual Industry Forum for the I-285 I-20 West Interchange project. This pre-recorded presentation, along with the list of registered viewers, will be made available on the P3 page of Georgia DOT's website in the next 24 hours. Now, I'd like to welcome Commissioner McMurray to get us started.
Thank you for joining and welcome. I'm Russell McMurray, the Commissioner of the Georgia Department of Transportation. It's my pleasure to have you attend the I-285 at I-20 West Interchange Industry Forum today. It is our intent to share the same information with you as we would in person, since we're having to do this virtually. Hopefully we're nearing the end of the COVID-19 pandemic and we can get back into person. But I'll assure you, the information shared here today is just as valuable as if you were in person. And we certainly will value your comments, your feedback, and your input as we move forward with this industry forum. It's very critical that we have great communications, albeit maybe virtually. Now, I'm excited to talk about today's attendees that are presenting, representing both the State Road and Tollway Authority and the Georgia Department of Transportation. And so today you're going to hear first from Meg Perkle, the Georgia Department of Transportation's Chief Engineer, who will give you a project overview. Next, you'll hear from Chris Tomlinson, who is the Executive Director of the State Road and Tollway Authority, and he will talk about the contracting structure that exists between GDOT and the State Road and Tollway Authority for a project that is not a toll project, by the way. And then next, you'll hear from Angela Whitworth, the department's treasurer, and she will talk about the project funding that's part of this initiative. Next, you'll hear from Chip Meeks, our P3 procurement manager, and he will talk about the procurement structure and the critical dates of this project as we move forward. And lastly, you'll hear from Daryl Van Meter, the Assistant Division Director for P3 in Innovata. Daryl will provide a disclaimer, as we always have to do in these industry forums, and then give closing remarks that really wraps up the industry forum to today. Without further ado, please welcome Meg Perkle, Chief Engineer, as she provides a project overview of the I-285 and I-20 West Interchange.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you to all of our viewers watching today. The I-285 I-20 interchange to the west of Atlanta is one of the most congested in the metro Atlanta region. The American Transportation Research Institute ranks it as the fourth worst bottleneck in the country. I-20 has a current average daily traffic of 172,000 vehicles per day, and I-285 has 180,000 vehicles per day on average. These are expected to increase by 30% and 40% by 2046, respectively. Trucks make up to 20% of the vehicles traveling through the interchange. At the I-285 I-20 West Interchange, the percentages of truck traffic on the ramps range from 3% to 32%. This project will address this congestion by improving traffic flow and improving safety for all motorists who travel through and near the interchange. The project will improve the geometric design, vertical grades, and operation of the I-285 I-20 West Interchange. The project limits along the I-285 span from Martin Luther King Jr. Drive north to Donald Lee Hollowell Parkway. Along I-20, the limits span from Thornton Road east to Hamilton E. Holmes Drive, or H.E. Holmes Drive. The project includes constructing westbound collector-distributor lanes from the interchange to Fulton Industrial Boulevard, removing left-hand exits from the interchange, constructing two-lane ramps within the I-285 I-20 West Interchange, adding auxiliary lanes from I-20 just east of Thornton Road to H.E. Holmes Drive, adding lanes along I-285 from D.L. Hollowell Parkway south to MLK, which is approximately 2 miles, to accommodate interchange improvements. Modifying or replacing interchange bridge structures and ramps, as well as along I-20, including Fulton County Railway and the Chattahoochee River. Here you can see some snapshots taken from the project visualization, which is available on the project website at majormobilityga.com. A link is provided later in this presentation to the website. These snapshots show an illustrative representation of the new eastbound lane on I-20 to Six Flags Parkway. The I-285 I-20 West Interchange, the westbound CD lanes near MLK Drive, where a new bridge will be constructed to accommodate future traffic volumes, and the westbound CD lanes near Fulton Industrial Boulevard. These are the same images shown at the Public Information Open House in September of 2020. All current concept plans are available on the project webpage as well. The project is proposed to be delivered through a design-build-finance model. The estimated design and construction cost is anticipated to be between $650 and $755 million. The assumed design and construction period is 36 months. There has been robust public engagement for this project with many stakeholders, neighborhoods, and community groups over the past couple of years. Additionally, the Public Information Open House was conducted virtually last year with more than 2,600 visits to the PIOH webpage to learn about the project. We continue to regularly engage with key stakeholders throughout the project development process. This timeline shows key milestone activities related to the project. A more robust procurement schedule will be shown later in the presentation. We are currently preparing for the public hearing open house later this year and developing the first draft of the Request for Proposals, RFP. Construction is scheduled to begin in 2023, and the project is scheduled to reach substantial completion in 2026. This chart shows the management team for the project, led by GDOT as the owner and key decision maker. CERTA is responsible for contracting and payments, which Chris Tomlinson will speak to a bit later. There are firms on both the PMC and the GEC/OVF teams who are conflicted. The full list of conflicted firms is available on the P3 page on GDOT's website. The goal is to begin the acquisition process for the state proposed right-of-way parcels outside the historic districts identified within the project limits by the issuance of the final RFP. Acquisition will continue through procurement with date certain identified in the RFP. The project agreement will require the developer to acquire certain state proposed/developer acquired parcels. For these parcels, the developer will provide right-of-way acquisition services, and the parcel payments will be made by CERTA GDOT and acquired in GDOT's name. There are 110 parcels total. We are currently assuming 5 total takes within the corridor. The early acquisition and post-NEPA acquisition strategy would target a date certain in the RFP of Q4 2023 to align with the start of construction. We look beyond traditional risk allocation. It may be a better value for the department to retain some risk rather than delegate it to the developer. We work off the basic philosophy that we assign the risk to the entity best able to manage that risk. That philosophy is applied consistent with Georgia law, which is inherently restrictive in terms of risk items like geotechnical and utilities. GDOT will actively identify and work to relocate high-risk utilities prior to completion of procurement to reduce the risk to the developer. We are always trying to understand risk sharing better and want an open dialogue with our industry partners. GDOT will remain active during the developer's design and construction periods and will help facilitate and resolve issues with utility providers as they arise to reduce risk to the developer. The DBE goal for this project is set at 14%. DBE coordination is already well underway. With the transition to virtual meetings over the past year, the DBE group has responded well, shifting in-person workshops and boot camps to a virtual format. There are several upcoming DBE networking opportunities coming up that are listed on the right-hand side of this slide. Georgia is focused on quality projects. This delivery model requires the developer to be responsible for quality through final design and construction. We are working with a different quality model than what we are using in the current design-build program. The independent quality firms for both design and construction do not have to be separate firms. Now, I'd like to invite Chris Tomlinson, the Executive Director of the State Road and Tollway Authority, to speak about the contracting structure that will be applied to the project.
Thank you, Meg. I'm Chris Tomlinson, the Executive Director for the State Road and Tollway Authority, and I'd like to thank you all for watching along with us today. As we turn to the next slide describes the relationship between the Department of Transportation, the State Road and Tollway Authority, as well as the developer for the project. Between CERTA and GDOT, there will be three principal agreements. One is an estate for years, which conveys certain rights related to the property and to the project, an intergovernmental agreement, and an annual funding MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding. CERTA and the developer will enter into a contract or project agreement which will define that specific relationship. And through that, CERTA will also be responsible for handling all invoicing and payments to the developer. However, throughout the entire project, GDOT remains the project owner and manages the oversight of the project, utilizing GDOT processes and procedures, as well as working closely with GDOT's program management consultant, as well as the owner's verification firm. I'd now like to take this time to invite GDOT's Treasurer, Angela Whitworth, to speak about the project funding.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank you for your interest in this project. The following slides lay out some of the funding and financing considerations for the project, starting with the funding available to the developer. GDOT intends to make developer payments during construction in the years after substantial completion. The developer will be required to finance the gap between design and construction cost and GDOT program funds that are available to the developer during construction. And each proposer will be expected to obtain financing commitments as part of its financial proposal. The repayment term is expected to be 4 to 5 years following substantial completion, and we would welcome feedback from industry regarding ways to make the financing requirement as efficient as possible. GDOT has also programmed funding for the agency's project cost, which will be retained by GDOT. All major project costs, including developer payments, will be funded through a combination of federal funds and state motor fuel funds. Funding for the project is currently fully programmed in the Atlanta region's TIP and STIP. Moving on to the next slide, this provides a little more detail on how we expect the payments to work for the purposes of the developer's financing. We currently expect the mechanics of the payment structure to be very similar in nature to GDOT's current 285-400 project. During the construction period, GDOT will review and certify construction progress on a monthly basis. Upon GDOT's monthly review and certification, GDOT will provide the developer with an approved project certificate that may be redeemed for payment of funds as available in accordance with the project payment schedule in the design build finance agreement. The actual amount and schedule of payments that will be made available will be refined prior to the procurement, but we currently anticipate taking approximately $250 to $335 million available to the developer during the construction period, with the balance of the required funding made available 4 to 5 years after substantial completion and paid on an annual basis. The developer may present, sell, assign, or pledge such certificates to lenders, including as security for any developer financing. Our current assumption, therefore, is this may be set up as a receivable financing structure and that the lenders will not be exposed to the construction risk. We welcome and encourage any feedback aspect of this contemplated structure and payment approach, particularly if there are any opportunities to make it more efficient on both the state and the industry side. At this time, I will turn it over to Chip Meeks to talk more in detail about the project's procurement.
Thank you, Angela. I'm Chip Meeks. I'm the P3 Procurement Manager for the Department of Transportation. Today, I'm going to provide you with an overview of the procurement process for the West Interchange project. I will review the schedule, the RFQ process, which is step 1 of our procurement process, and step 2, which is the RFP process. First, let's look at the schedule. As you see on this slide, GDOT has already issued the notice of intent to advertise. The industry forum occurs today, May the 3rd, and over the next couple of days, GDOT will engage in one-on-one meetings with the industry to gain insight and gather feedback. GDOT then intends to issue the RFQ on the Georgia Procurement Registry in July. Please note that the restriction on communications begins at that time. The proper communications protocol will be laid out in the RFQ. The bottom line is there's no individual or ex parte discussions at this point forward. Statements of qualifications will be due in October. The short list of most qualified proposers should be announced in December of this year, and the first draft RFP will be issued to just those teams. GDOT will follow the RFP process with the proposals being due in the fourth quarter of 2022 and the selection of the best value proposer in the first quarter of 2023. Of course, these dates are subject to change. Now let me spend some time explaining the request for qualifications. Technical submittals will consist of several components: a design-build project team qualifications, technical experience and capabilities. It may include a project development approach and past performance requirements. I'll touch more on the past performance requirements in just a moment. The financial evaluation criteria will focus first on the financial capacity, which will be assessed based on the respondent's financial strength and ability to secure financing for a project of this scale. Second, the financial capability, including experience, approach, and understanding, which will be evaluated based on the respondent's demonstrated experience in structuring and securing financing on projects of similar scope and complexity. Consideration will also be given to the respondent's approach in the development of a financial plan for this project. GDOT is working to maximize the pool of competitive bidders as always, and understands that the experience in financing similar DBF-type projects is not widespread, and GDOT will take this into account as it formulates the evaluation criteria. Past performance is very important to GDOT. We will undertake a rigorous but fair evaluation of past performance and utilize this evaluation in the scoring of the SOQs. GDOT will ask for two types of references. The first will be what we call nominated projects. This will be the proposer's choice of a set number of projects to put forward that match the requirements in the RFQ. The second type are disclosed projects. This will be a list of all projects from the proposers that reach a certain threshold. GDOT will sort the projects and seek past performance verification from the project owners. Both types of reference responses will be utilized to help GDOT determine the most highly qualified teams, and you can look for more details in the RFQ. Finally, let's focus on the request for proposal phase of the procurement. GDOT will issue the RFP to the shortlisted proposers via eBuilder, which is a secure website, and it requires an account to be set up by GDOT, and it is password protected. There will be an instruction to proposers that will provide guidance for the RFP process and submittals. Volume 1 will be the project agreement, and the next volume, Volume 2, has recently been streamlined down from 2 separate volumes to just 1 volume for the technical provisions of the project. Lastly, GDOT will provide reference information documents, also known as RIDs. These documents are not part of the RFP, but they will be made available to the proposers for review. Also, as a side note, GDOT will be utilizing Ballard Spahr as its legal advisor to assist with the procurement process and crafting the RFP document. Now, this is a high-level overview of the RFP process. As we saw on the schedule, GDOT should issue the first draft of RFP in December of this year. GDOT will allow for a review and comment period on several draft RFPs. During the draft RFP phase, GDOT will participate in one-on-one meetings with the proposing teams to review, clarify, and refine the RFP. GDOT will also accept alternate technical concepts during this phase of the RFP. A final RFP will be issued to the teams, and then the teams will submit their proposals to GDOT. GDOT will be looking for the proposers to submit a 2-part proposal. First, the technical proposal will probably include a schedule and phasing plan, a project development plan, risk management plan, and also a design-build solution with ATCs. Also, construction sequencing and traffic management plan, and an approach to the right-of-way acquisition. The financial proposal requirements may include a price proposal and a financial model, committed financing and a financial plan, updated financial capacity information, including an update on the information that was submitted in the SOQ, along with a proposal security. Lastly, the financial proposal may be subject to a validity period. We understand that financing commitments cannot be held indefinitely, and we will work with you on that issue during the RFP phase. At this time, I'll turn it over to Daryl Van Meter.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Van Meter, the Assistant P3 Division Director and Innovative Deliveries Administrator at GDOT. I'd like to join in thanking you for joining us today to learn more about the West Interchange project. We're very excited to proceed into this next phase of bringing this project to reality. The P3 Division, in collaboration with the whole department and State Road and Tollway Authority, takes great pride in launching this procurement. Today's presentation included information about the project's anticipated scope, procurement process, and some insight into the risks and opportunities. We're pleased we can share with you our vision in advance of the solicitation documents. As with any initial offering, the material provided in this presentation should be considered informational only and is, of course, subject to change. It is our sincere goal that you'll find great value in what you've seen and heard here today. We will be holding one-on-one meetings from May 3 through May 5, as you heard from Chip. However, if you have any questions, you may contact Chip Meeks, the P3 Procurement Manager, through the email address listed on this slide. More procurement information is available on GDOT's P3 page on our website. You can also view the project visualization that the Chief mentioned at the website listed on this slide or visit the project webpage. A link to the Georgia Procurement Registry is also listed for you to view the actual notice of intent to advertise. A recording of this meeting, along with the registration form, will be posted to the P3 page listed on this slide following the meeting. Again, thank you for joining us and have a great day.